everybody. Hopefully you can go ahead and hear me. My name is Divine, and I go by D-Bay-chan. It's like this. Oh, crud. It's probably going to go ahead and come out backwards. Hopefully you can read mirror. I don't know. But, yeah. Well, for those of you who are going to be going over to Anime Expo 2015, some of you might have missed me over at the Artist Alley or the Artist Market, whichever they want to go and call it now. But yeah, I wasn't able to go. At least like be in the Artist Alley. I did manage to go for one day to go ahead and get my table for next year. But anyway, well, at least back in 2014, so I can have my table for this year. Yay! Basically, I had some a new product made, and I'm like, okay, I'm not able to go ahead and sell that. But it's around that time of year now, and I need to go ahead and get stuff done. So I am trying to go ahead and make new stuff. I have a ton more molds and everything. Well, maybe not molds, but cookie cutters. And for those of you who haven't seen the new work, I don't think I've posted it up just yet. I am making a whole bunch of jewelry out of clay, so I'm using cookie cutters and molds to create them. And this is going to be like pastel goth, like anything from pastel goth on up to basic kawaii, girly girl kind of stuff. I'm going to try to fit in some superhero stuff. I'm going to try to fit in some Star Wars stuff, as well as if I can go ahead and get them in time. Yay, shipping. And customs. If I can get them on time, I'm going to be having full-on Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who cookie cutters, molds, and so on and so forth. I will go ahead and try to have those because, dear God, Star Wars is going to be at the end of the year, and everyone's hyping that up. And of course, Age of Ultron just recently came out, so I'm going to want to have that too. And beyond that, well, of course, if they're going to be complaining about, like, hey, where's all the DC stuff, you know, all the Marvel lights, and okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to get the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman 3 basic stuff, but I don't know if I'll be able to go ahead and afford it. We'll go ahead and see, because I've got to go ahead and save money for a wedding coming up, and also have enough money for Anime Expo. Hopefully they will not bump up that, like, $15 parking fee. I hope it's going to be 20 bucks. But anyway, what I usually do to go ahead and start off with on like molds and everything is to go ahead and get, well, I usually buy air dry clay. This is from Sculpey, oddly enough, but it is a huge brick of air dry clay, and hence, because it is air dry clay, I have not opened it up until now. Because, well, I had to go and worry about setup and all that sort of stuff, and by the time I go ahead and finally record, these might not be exactly very pliable. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering the name of the cat. Hi. Sorry. This is Baby Kitty. She adopted us, so yeah. Oh, and of course it's always so hard to get out, but yeah, I've got a whole bunch of new designs, and I'm sorry if I'm not being grammatically correct, but for the designs that I've got, I've expanded from stars. I thought it was going to happen. Stars and other celestial bodies. Oh, and now I have expanded over to cute angels. I don't know if you can see that. Two cute little lambs, bunnies. I don't think anyone has actually done bunnies like that. But anyway, there's going to be, at least for the Cult Kawaii stuff. For Cult Kawaii, Cult Party K, or let's see, or Pastel Goth. These are the things that I've got going. I'm also going to be doing some black swans, white swans, because, well, alright, I recently watched Princess Tutu, and, yeah. And I have never seen anyone actually do anything with ravens, so, yeah, I think it's about time to go ahead and break new ground. But basically for, getting back over the molds, silicone molds, I don't really like using silicone molds for the sheer fact that it takes the whole day for this type of air dry clay to fully harden. And if you think about it, just doing it with like the cookie cutters, you could just like keep on going and go, and I only get like one of these out of an entire 24-hour period. So it's not exactly the best thing to work with, but yeah, it's what I've got, and I've got to work with it. But it's not exactly very. Oh, and by the way, I'm listening to Air One in the background. I hope you guys don't mind, but I like working with music. Not the sound of gardening tools and whatnot in the background, unfortunately. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, with the molds and everything, yes, more often than not, these are used, or at least this is from a company that does at least glue stick art, and these are glue stick molds, or molds for glue stick material. And so with that, it's pretty easy. You just like use a glue gun, pour it in, that's it. You could use, since these are resin, you could use them for resin materials, but the only problem is that, like, for me, since I'm working with clay, some of these things don't work very well, in the sense that some of the cavities are just really tiny and lots of detail, thin, and I probably will not get a very good amount of, or I'll probably end up with a flawed product at the end of the dry, after it dries. So if I can help it, I will try not to use the ones that are specifically very frilly and so on and so forth. But when I go ahead and do the air dry clay and all that, I will want to make sure that I have eyelets or something that I can go ahead and use later to, of course, these little things. I don't know if you can actually really see that. Yeah, anyway, but I use these to go ahead and make sure that I can hang them off of the things that I'm going to be working with later to make into jewelry. Now, the necklaces that I made in the past, like 2 years ago, they were not that kawaii, unfortunately. It's like I was shooting for kawaii, but I only had so much time, and you could only do so much in, like, I don't know, 2 weeks. So yeah, and I'm one to go ahead and rush it around. I work decently well under pressure, and other times I don't. It just depends on how well I am, I guess, on how well I'm actually getting my sleep, and so on and so forth. But yeah, like, this is the first time I'm using anything this short, but if anything, it's something that I will have to go ahead and deal with. I'd rather just push it in for right now. There. But other than that, yeah, that's how I do silicone molds. And of course, with the rest of the cookie cutters, they're with the cookie cutters, you just use them like you would normal cookie cutters. You just make sure that you have like about a quarter of an inch or less of actual flattened out clay, and then you go ahead and roll it out. Roll out clay to about like a quarter inch, and then let's see, that was about a centimeter or so for those who use the metric, and then go ahead and use them as you normally would. But for the molds, silicone molds, it's a little more, it's slower, admittedly so. But anyway, I have a ton of things that I'm going to have to go ahead and do between here and Anime Expo. It's about a month between here and then. We'll see what I can go ahead and do, and I'm going to try to be done in 3 weeks' time, because that wedding is about 2 days before day 0, or more or less, I forget. It's supposed to be the 28th. Anime Expo starts on the 2nd. Oh right, there's also my birthday, June 30th, same as Sailor Moon. So yeah, I am trying to go ahead and make sure that I have at least a 1 day breather before day 0, because I will have to go over there to make sure that I'm not in the crazy long line on the day of, and at least for Artist Alley. Artist Alley, it's a pretty long line either way. But then, of course, it's like, that's short, very short, in comparison to like the pre-reg line that goes way out the building. Anyway, so, yeah, other than that, I will go ahead and try to talk to you guys later, and yeah, じゃあね、気をつけてね。